Good morning, my name is Jonathan Chandler and I'm an instructor here at the Virginia School of Traditional Arts. This morning we're going to talk to you about staking tomatoes. Alright, today we're going to need lots of string to string tie our tomatoes with. We want the strings to be appropriate size. I go for about a foot long, and so to make lots of foot long strings you can measure each one, or I'm going to show you a little trick. This block is a 2x8. This will give us just over a foot. But we take our string and we wrap it around our block. Well, we wrap it around our block over and over again. And this will work for any measurement. You can do this very accurately if you want to try this with a particular measurement. And then we're just going to cut our strings. And that way we have lots and lots of the same length string pretty quickly and don't have to worry about measuring each one. Alright, what we're going to do next is we're going to actually attach our strings on our stake prior to putting it in the ground. This just makes it a little faster. We're going to leave about a foot, maybe 18 inches of our stake with no strings. We pointed our ends, tie our string. What we want to do is tie our string on tight to the stick. Turn the knot up. Just tight to your stick. And to get a really tight knot, we make just a normal overhand knot to start with, and then we're going to make a double loop knot, or a double. We're going to spin this tail around not once like it is now, but we're going to put it through again, kind of like a fisherman's knot. And that'll allow us a really tight knot. What we would like to do is not have this slide up and down. And then we've got our loose ends here we can tie around our tomato. And we're going to do this every foot or so. And we put our strings on now. This keeps us conscious that we need to tie them. Every time we walk by our tomato plant, if it's tall enough, we can tie them. We don't have to go get the strings. We don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. If you're interested, the string we're using today is just hay string. And I use this a lot. I was raised on a hay farm, so this is kind of comfort string for me. But it's free, basically. If you have horses or goats or know somebody that has animals that they feed hay to, they will give you all the string you can take. And tell them that you like the hay string, they'll save it up for you. And so our stake here is about 5 foot long or so. It would be okay to be a little longer. That's not a problem. Much shorter than this, you're on a modern tomato, a big tomato like a Better Boy, you need about a 5 foot stake. At least. 6 foot would probably be better. And so we're doing this, and we're almost done. We're going to put one more around the top. And again, I'll show you that knot one more time. We take just a normal overhand knot right there, and then we're going to wrap twice around and pull tight then. And I'm sure this knot has a fancy name. I don't know it all, but it will stay tighter and won't slide up and down our pole. And that's what we're wanting. And we have pretty good length on our loose ends. That way we can tie around our tomato. When you're tying your tomato, we would like to tie it, but we don't want to tie the tomato hard like we did the stick. We want to tie a loose loop, and I'm going to demonstrate that here. We'll just tie a loose loop like that, and we want our knot to be tight. I won't pull it tight right now, but we want our knot to be tight but have a large hole here for the tomato's vine to go up and down. We want that hole to be easily put 2 fingers in, and That way we're not going to restrict our plant. Here we are at our Better Boy tomato in our raised bed. We had a video showing us planting this. Been approximately 10 days or so since we planted this. It was only about that tall when we planted it, maybe 6 or 8 inches. And as you can see, it's doing very well. And we're going to use our stake that we just prepared in the shop to stake this tomato. So we're going to plan on driving it down about a foot or so. I have a raised bed here, so I could actually screw 2 stakes, one on this side and one on this side, and run strings between them, and that would do very well. That costs us twice as much lumber. Nothing wrong with that. This is scrap wood, but to save us a little money, we're gonna use just our one stab and do this kind of traditionally. Our tomato is leaning this way at the moment, and so we're gonna put our stake on the side that it wants to lean to naturally. So, and we're paying attention down in here that we're not gonna stake it right against the trunk of it. We're gonna come out here maybe 3 inches at least, and we're gonna stake it away from the trunk. We're not trying to tear up the roots of this plant. So we stake it in. Our soil is good and soft, so we may have to drive this down a little bit farther than normal. All right, and we're gonna check our stake. That ought to stay. We've got our loop on our pole, on our stake tied tight. We went underneath this a main trunk here and a main trunk here. I'd like to get both of those trunks. And I'm trying to move the leaves back. We got our loose tag ends here. We're just going to make a granny knot. And we want the knot to be tight, but not to do what I just did, which is slide it up tight. So we're going to make us another knot with that tag in, so we'll do that again. Okay, let's see if I can get you all close up on that. We've got our knot tied, our string tied tight to the stake, but we have a big loop here that's supporting these branches so it won't knock over in the wind or that kind of thing. We have another string down here at the bottom, but our plant's just a little bit far away, so we're going to slide it up, and we'll get us a little bit more support here at the bottom as well. As they get taller, we can tie more strings on if necessary. In a week or so, we can come back and we can tie these 2 branches again up here taller, and just keep this plant going. Better Boys are good tomatoes. They're a very popular tomato. There are lots of other choices though with tomatoes. Lots of folks only grow Better Boys, but I encourage you to try some others. We've got Brandywine. We've got some cherry tomatoes over there. Most people don't stake cherry tomatoes. I may put a few stakes in there since I have a few short ones that didn't make it for our large tomatoes. This is only one version of staking tomatoes. You can use cages. You can use 2 stakes I was telling you about. There's other versions of this. This hay string will decompose and rot over time, but it'll last 2 or 3 months, enough to get our tomatoes harvested. About the middle of August, we'll pull these tomatoes out. We'll cut off whatever remaining string there is, and we'll store our tomato stakes for next year. So this is not a, you can use these over and over again. I did choose pressure treated lumber for this. And the dimensions on this, I know somebody will ask, this was 1 inch thick or 5/4 decking board. We cut it into 4 even pieces, so roughly, it's 1 inch thick and maybe 1.25 inches wide or thereabouts. And we just ripped them on the table saw, and we sharpened the end a little bit. As part of our tomato tying demonstration today, we'll show you another version of tying tomatoes. This works well. We have a frame built on a raised bed here. And all we're going to do is tie a loop in the end of our string. Show down here where you can see this. Tie a loop in the end of our string. So we just double it. Wrap it around your fingers. Poke it through. Just a loop. That's all we're needing. And then we're going to toss this loop over our frame here. And we're going to run our tag end of our string through it. And that's basically it. All we're going to do now is just cut it off a little longer than where it touches the bed. And we'll repeat that several times down through here. And you see this method a lot in a greenhouse where you have a roof on your products. All right, here's our string. And down to make this work, all we do is take our string and we kind of make it go in the middle of our plane a little bit, and not tightly, but we're going to wrap this string around in here a little bit, just around our stem. See what I'm doing? Just around our stem a little bit, and we may even put just a little bit of a knot on it. Now we're not wanting this knot, just like our other tying tomatoes we did with the steaks. We don't want the knot to be tight to the stem. We want it to be a big open knot. But basically what we can do from this point forward, once we get that done, we can take and wrap our tomato leaves and limbs around this. These aren't quite big enough, but basically you do that. You just twist it around there, and as the tomato grows, it'll climb up here, and you just keep twisting. This method works very well when you're in a situation where you have an overhead board to use, so that you can tie your strings tight to it. This will hold right much weight. You can do the same type of method with lots of things. You could use cucumbers like this. You could do gourds like this. Any kind of vining type of vegetable or any type of vining plant. Now, if you're interested in any classes at the Virginia School of Traditional Arts, be glad to talk to you about that. We do offer horticulture classes. We offer blacksmithing classes once a month. We offer leatherworking and cooking, cast iron type cooking classes upon request. But this is Jonathan Chandler at the Virginia School of Traditional Arts. Thank you for watching. Please hit this subscribe and like button. If you have comments, we'll be happy to try to answer those.